Hello students, today I have come up with full question answers of the lesson Napoleon Bonaparte from Unit 14 of Class 11's Compulsory English book, and the theme of today's lesson is Power and Politics. Let's turn to page 132, Ways with Words. A. Choose the correct meaning of the underlined word. A. Many portraits of Napoleon show him with his right hand placed inside his coat. Your portrait means sketch. B. Napoleon won one victory after another, defeating the Austrians in 18 battles. Here, defeating means beating. C. Portrait painters thought this pose made men look more dignified. Here, dignified means good looking. D. They announced France a republic. Here, announced means officially declared. E. Napoleon conquered Austria in 1805. Here, conquered means triumphed over. F. There was no place to house his soldiers in the bitter Russian winter. Here, bitter means cold. G. Napoleon was humiliated when he was defeated. Here, humiliated means shamed. Now, number B. Guess the meanings to these words from the text. Check in your dictionary and make sentences of your own. Number 1. Violent means brutal and savage. They could not face the violent attack of the enemies. Number 2. Execute means carry out a task. The task was executed by the team members. Another meaning of execute is to complete the task of hanging the person or killing him who has got a death sentence. The legally condemned person was executed yesterday. Number 3. Ancient means very old. The ancient buildings were demolished by the government. Number 4. Alliance means a kind of tie or association. The two nations built a strong alliance after the war. Number 5. Brilliant means very good and talented. It was a brilliant idea to join that party instead of this one. Number 6. Genius means a very intelligent person. He is a genius in solving these kinds of bilateral problems. Number 7. Consul means an official appointed by a state to live in a foreign country as a diplomat to see the well-being of its citizens living there. The consul suggested us to leave that country immediately for our own well-being. Number 8. Invading means attacking and entering a nation in order to control and rule it. That country is invading many of the neighboring countries. Number C. Look at the compound noun phrase commander-in-chief as used in this sentence from the text. Napoleon was only 27 years old when he was made commander-in-chief of the French army in Italy. D. Find the meanings of the following noun phrases and use them in sentences. Number 1. Vice President, an official or executive ranking below and deputizing for a president. The proposal was approved by the Vice President. Number 2. Editor-in-chief, the principal editor of a publication, responsible for managing editorial policies and the production of content. This letter should be addressed to the editor-in-chief. Number 3. Deputy mayor, assistant mayor. The deputy mayor postponed the meeting by 2 days. Number 4. Joint secretary, the person in charge of an organization, for example, a trade union. The joint secretary could not attend the meeting today. Number 5. Attorney General, the principal legal officer who represents the crown or a state in legal proceedings and gives legal advice to the government. Dr. Dina Mani Pokhrel has been appointed Attorney General in Nepal with the recommendation of Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal. In Nepali, Mahanyayadivakta. Number 6, Under Secretary. A person who works for and has a slightly lower rank than the secretary. He was appointed as the Under Secretary of the nation. Number 7, Deputy Prime Minister. A common minister who can take the position of acting Prime Minister when the Prime Minister is temporarily absent. The Deputy Prime Minister could not take any decision on this subject, so we'll have to wait for the Prime Minister. Number 8, Vice Chancellor. A deputy to or a substitute for a head of state or an official bearing the title Chancellor. He has been the Vice Chancellor of the university for the past 2 years. Number 9, Attorney General. The head of the US Department of Justice. The Attorney General had been consulted in this warfare. Number 10, Ex-President. A former president of a particular country or organization. The ex-president was also liable for these financial discrepancies. Number 11, Sub-editor. Someone who checks or edits the written text of newspapers, magazines, or websites before they are published. The sub-editor of that magazine resigned recently due to some personal cause. Number 12, co-author. A writer who collaborates with another writer in authoring literary works. He is the co-author of many romantic novels. Now students, we have come to the comprehension part. Answer these questions. A. Where was Napoleon from? Napoleon was from the French island of Corsica, close to the coast of Italy. B. Why did poor and middle-class people declare France a republic? Answer. Poor and middle-class people declared France a republic because the French people were not happy with the monarchy system where they had to pay heavy taxes to the monarch so that the king and his noblemen could live a luxurious life. C. When did Napoleon declare himself Emperor of France? Answer. Napoleon declared himself Emperor of France in 1804 AD. D. What did he do when he ruled France? Answer. During the time when Napoleon ruled France, he conquered many European countries such as Italy, Switzerland, Germany, made his brothers kings of Spain and Holland. He restored law and order after the revolution, wrote the Napoleon Code with 2,281 articles. He reorganized the French government and the Bank of France, built many fine roads and improved the old ones. He turned Paris into a beautiful city with wide streets, fine bridges, and beautiful buildings and monuments, such as the Arc de Triomphe. E. Which countries did he rule when he was the emperor? Answer. He ruled Italy, Switzerland, and Germany when he was the emperor. F. What was the main cause of his destruction? Answer. The main cause of his destruction was his attempt to invade Russia, which became a total failure in his life. G. How did his rule as emperor end in Europe? Answer. Many European nations united their armies led by the British Duke of Wellington. At the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, Napoleon was defeated, sent to the island of St. Helena in Atlantic Ocean, where he died after 6 years. At that time, he was 52 years old. H. How could Napoleon have been an ever greater ruler? Answer. Napoleon has been an ever greater ruler because of his military perfectness and a brilliant mind. He fought many battles and became a single ruler in the whole of Europe by becoming victorious. He had a great love of power and fought for it until he became successful. Now we have come to a critical thinking part. A. What are the qualities of a great leader? Can a great leader remain in power for long in a country? Discuss. This is answer to the first part of the question. I have listed 10 qualities of a great leader. Students, you can add your own to the list. Number 1, he should be a good public speaker and should have an effective communication skills. Number 2, he should be a people person, very sociable, highly interactive, and having an outgoing personality. Number 3, he should be an example of whatever he speaks to the people. Like if he says we should promote and give preference to our local and national products, then he should be also using them in his daily life. Like Nepali Daura Surwal and Dhaka Topi, woven by the Nepalese people. Or Chaubandi Cholo, Chitko Sari, and Malmalko or Dhakako Pachora. Number 4, he should always think and work for the betterment and well-being of the people and the nation, as the people elected him for that purpose only. Number 5, he should have clear goals in life, and his goals should be life fulfilling of the people and the nation, because the leaders are made by the people and for the people. He should never forget that in his whole life. Number 6, he should not change his color and should remain firm and should fulfill his promises to the people. Number 7, he should be far-sighted and a good decision maker and a great influencer as well. Number 8, he should be sincere and trustworthy. He should be ready to take the responsibility of his words and action. His words and action should match. Then only he can win the trust of people. Number 9, he should be well disciplined in life. He should be wise, intelligent, and widely read, which means well knowledged in every field. He should be brave enough to face any kind of situation that comes in his life. Number 10, he should be fair, just, and human in nature. He should have feelings for others. Another word for that is empathy. He should also have a good personality and a presentable behavior. And my answer to the second part of the question, a great leader can remain in power for long in a country only if he can win the hearts of his people by showing them trustworthy deeds. His action should be same as his words. He should be sincere and stay away from corruption in his entire life. If people find him as a real leader, doing things worthwhile for the people, then he need not run after the power. People will give him the power to rule over them. So again, at last I would like to say, a leader can stay in power for a long time only by winning the hearts of people. Otherwise, people will throw him out. B. The 16th President of the USA, Abraham Lincoln, said, "Democracy is government of the people, for the people, and by the people." Do you think it is perfectly applicable in the present context of Nepal? Explain. Answer: yes, of course. This is the 21st century and the modern period. We are people of this modern period, the age of discovery and globalization, the period of significant development in the fields of science and technology. People of today are well educated, wise, learned, and they have become highly advanced and aware. They know what is happening in their country, which leader is doing what, which leader is of what type, who should be kept in politics and who should be removed. People decided today, not the leaders, as in the past. This kind of thinking is coming into Nepal also. In our country, Nepal, people have now realized that we have been continuously duped by the so-called political leaders. In the name of democracy, they have misused their power. There has been corruptions, nepotism, poverty, favoritism, indifference, bribery, political crimes, discriminations, and unfair suppression in bureaucracy, and Nepalese people are being aware now. They have opened their eyes to it. These political leaders make big promises to the people. People elect them, but after they come to power, they live a super luxurious life, enjoy all the benefits and facilities given to VIP people that comes from the taxes paid by hardworking citizens. Once they come into power, they change their color as chameleons. Their words have no value. All the time they are found giving big speeches. They are found enjoying their power, showing no action. Now Nepalese people have realized that action speaks better than words. These political leaders should be evaluated from time to time, not based on their speech, but based on their actions and performances. Useless leaders should be picked and thrown away, and an able leader working for the benefit and well-being of people, just like Balin Shah, should be given power and position, and his tenure should be added. As we are from a democratic nation, we people have the right to do this. So, as the 16th President of the USA, Abraham Lincoln, said, democracy is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Now the writing part. A. Write an essay on power and politics in about 500 words. Students, please do this yourself, as we have discussed lots of things above about power and politics. So, I'm sure that will help you a lot in writing an essay. B. Write a couple of paragraphs about a national hero who fought bravely in the Anglo-Nepal War. Anglo-Nepal War means the war between Nepalese and the English people. Students, as this Anglo-Nepal War is very interesting, I would like to present it in detail here. But you take just the gist of the story and make it as short as possible. We are talking about the heroic deed of Mr. Bhakti Thapa, who is a national hero who fought bravely in this Anglo-Nepal War. The process of expansion of the Great Nepal had spread rapidly across the Himalayan region, so it was natural for the East India Company to be greatly alarmed. The Great Nepal was seen all along as a threat to company rule in India till the end of the Anglo-Nepal War of 1814 to 1816. The East India Company actively began preparation for the war from the time when F.R. Warren Hastings, Earl of Moria, landed in India as Governor General and Commander-in-Chief in 1813. The actual declaration of war against Nepal is recorded as 1st November 1814, though the war began from the middle of October. The decision to declare war had been made 6 months earlier, so the territorial dispute appears to be only a pretext. Company forces had marched into Nepal across a frontier of more than 1500 kilometers, that is about 930 miles, to attack at several points at the same time. The East India Company flank was moving north from the Teesta area, whereas the furthermost western flank came from the Satluj River area. It was virtually a modern type warfare extended over a period of 3 calendar years and necessitating to protect the entire region bordering the enemy-held territory. The British invasion forces, in comparison with the Nepalese, had absolute superiority in cavalry, pioneers, and at least the superiority of 10 times in infantry and 100 times in artillery. They also had the advantage of maneuverability in movement. In the early months of the war, the initial British invasion force was completely frustrated by Nepalese tactics. The British offensive ended in complete failure. Nepalese forces stationed within the shelter of the fortress were not only able to defend their position against an invading enemy, many times superior in strength, but they even shocked them by their dreadful counter-offensive that used to be accompanied by big losses on the British side. After the initial defeats, the British changed their strategy to avoid their casualties. They started to deploy long-range guns to level Nepal's fortifications. This strategy paid off. The British were able to advance quickly into the territory under Nepal's control. They even used elephants to carry heavy guns across the mountains. So the ability of the Nepalese force to defend the territory under their control was steadily declining. They were forced to pull back. There was a breakdown in the command and control system. Towards the middle of 1815, Amar Singh Thapa, chief of the Nepalese forces fighting in the Western Front, was confined within a small area of the Malao fort. The fate of Nepal was going to be in the hands of the Governor-General Lord Hastings, who was determined to solidify company rule in India. At that time, he worked either to eliminate Nepal completely and bring it under company rule, or to transform it into a vassal state like so many other states under that category in colonial India. He could be forced not to take any such decision detrimental to the honor of Nepal only if he perceived that such action could pose serious threat to the continuance of company rule in India. The Diothal battle could not be anything else but a clear message of the threat on behalf of Nepalese people to the East India Company, warning them not to take lightly the determination of Nepalese people to protect the honor of their country. Battle of Diothal. Towards sunset on April 16, 1815, Bhakti Thapa and the army units under him arrived at the Malao fort from their situation at Surajgarh without being noticed by the East India Company units scattered around the Malao fortress. The following day in the morning, Bhakti Thapa, at the age of 73, led a daring counter-attack against the East India Company force entrenched at Diothal. Historians have presented the description of this battle at great length. It was 3:15 a.m. when a force of just about 400 under Bhakti Thapa marched out of the Malao fort to a slow but steady beat of a drum. The British column under Thompson had taken position at Diothal on reverse slopes. The cannons of 6-pounders were properly concealed. There were 2 Indian battalions, the Grenadiers, companies of the light battalions, and some 1,000 irregulars. The British strength was up to about 3,500 troops and weapons. Bhakti Thapa and his followers in the counter-attack appear to have vowed to fight to the death. Bhakti Thapa had even handed his infant grandson to the custody of the Amar Singh Thapa just before going to the battlefield. Bhakti Thapa laid down his life in the battlefield. The whole of the western region was at stake, which made Sardar Bhakti Thapa go to the battlefield, taking naked kukuri and sword on his hand, along with 2,000 Nepalese soldiers, amidst the fierce gun firing of the British Army on April 16, 1815. There was fierce fighting between the two forces, killing 100 soldiers of the British Army, while all the officers were killed except only one arsenal. In this battle, when Sardar Bhakti Thapa tried to capture a British cannon, he was hit by the bullet at his heart. The Major David Akhtar Loni handed over very respectfully to the Nepalese army the dead body of Sardar Bhakti Thapa after covering it with dosala, a woolen shawl. The very next day, his body was cremated with the due state guard of honor. His two wives committed sati, burning themselves on their husband's funeral pyre. Everyone who fought from the Nepalese side was either killed or wounded. The British commanders were thoroughly impressed by the bravery of Bhakti Thapa in the Theothal battle. The way Sardar Bhakti Thapa laid down his life at the Theothal battle has become a legend in Nepalese history. Project work. On page 136, collect information about one of the following brave Nepalese warriors. Write a short description of the person based on the information you have collected and present to the class. So I would like to give a brief history of Kalu Pandey. Kalu Pandey. Vamshidhar Pandey, who was well known at that time as Kalu Pandey, was a Nepalese politician and military general who was appointed as Kaji of the Gorkha Kingdom. He was born in 1713 AD in Gorkha. He was the commander of the Gorkhali forces during the unification campaign of Nepal, who died in the first battle of Kirtipur in 1757 AD. He was the son of Kaji Bhimraj Pandey, who was minister during reign of King Prithvipati Shah of Gorkha. He was descendant of Minister of Gorkha and Dravya Shah's accomplice, Ganesh Pandey. He had three sons, Dewan Kaji Sahib, Vamsharaj Pandey, Sardar Ranasur Pandey, and Mool Kaji Sahib Damodar Pandey, who was the first Prime Minister of Nepal. So students, don't forget that Damodar Pandey, who is the son of Kalu Pandey, was the first Prime Minister of Nepal. The Pandeys were considered as the Tharghar, or aristocratic family who assisted in the administration of Gorkha Kingdom. Kaji Kalu Pandey, who was born in 1714 and died in 1757, belonged to this family and became a war hero after he died at Battle of Kirtipur. These Pandeys were categorized with fellow Kshetri Bhardars such as Thapas, Basnats and Kuwar family. Kalu Pandey was made the commander-in-chief of the Gorkhali army after Biraj Thapa Magar, and his first major battle was the Battle of Kirtipur. Despite his initial resentment to the fact that the Valley Kings were well prepared and the Gorkhalis were not, Pandey gave a yes to the operation due to being insisted by Prithvinarayan Shah. The Gorkhalis had set up a base on Naika, a hill on the valley's western rim, from where they were to mount their assaults on Kirtipur. They were armed with swords, bows and arrows and muskets. The Battle of Kirtipur occurred in 1767 during the Gorkha conquest of Nepal and was fought at Kirtipur, one of the principal towns in the Kathmandu Valley. Kirtipur was then a town of 800 houses and part of the kingdom of Lalitpur. It is spread along the top of a ridge. The battle between the Newars of the valley and the invading Gorkhalis marked a turning point in the war of expansion launched by Gorkhali king Prithvinarayan Shah. It led to his subjugation of the rest of the coveted valley. The Gorkhalis had set up a base on Dahachok, a hill on the valley's western rim, from where they mounted their assaults on Kirtipur. They were armed with swords, bows and arrows, and muskets. During the first assault in 1757, the Gorkhali army were badly beaten. As they advanced towards Kirtipur, the Newars went to meet them under the command of Kaji Tanuvanta. The two forces fought on the plains of Tanglafat in the northwest of Kirtipur. The Newars defended their town ferociously. The Valley Kings brought a large number of doyas from Indian plains under Shakti Ballabh Sardar. During the first assault In 1757, the Gorkhali army killed 1,200 enemies, mostly Doyas, but were badly beaten themselves. Both sides suffered heavy losses. As they advanced towards Kirtipur, the combined force of Valley Kings under Kaji Gangadhar Jha, Kaji Gangaram Thapa, and Sardar Shakti Ballabh brought havoc to the outnumbered Gorkhalis. The two forces fought on the plain of Tanglafat in the northwest of Kirtipur. Surpratap Shah, the king's brother, lost his right eye to an arrow while scaling the city wall. The Gorkhali commander Kaji Kalu Pandey was beheaded by Kantipur's king Jaiprakash Malla himself, and the Gorkhali king himself narrowly escaped with his life into the surrounding hills disguised as a saint. Kalu Pandey's memorial. The burial ground of Kaji Kalu Pandey on a hilltop in Chandragiri, western outskirts of Kathmandu, from where Gorkha can be seen. It is said that Kalu Pandey requested to be buried where he could see his homeland of Gorkha, so he was buried in that spot. It is also called Kalu Pandey Hill and is a popular hiking spot. Students, we have come to the end of today's lesson. I hope you all enjoyed it. See you all in our next lesson. Bye-bye.